Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Two Bums in a Pod, the only 49ers podcast named by Eric Armstead because he likes us so much. Today, we got 10 topics and about an hour, so we're not going to waste any time. I'm Grant Cohn. That's Ryan Sakamoto. You guys know Ryan, the Beast. Ryan's my guy, and I got to know what he thinks about the latest Niners news, starting with Trent Williams. He went on the Chris Collinsworth podcast yesterday. Wasn't with Chris Collinsworth. It was with some guy from Pro Football Focus. It was him, Trent Williams, and Richard Sherman. And the host was like, hey, Richard, where do you think Trent Williams is going to sign next year? And he's like, man, I think he's coming back to the Niners. And Trent Williams goes, yeah, that's a pretty good guess. You're barking up the right tree. Okay, that's pretty interesting. And then the host says, okay, well, what do you think, Trent, where do you think Sherman's going to end up next year? And he goes, oh, man, Sherman's so great. He's the best teammate, such a good player. I really hope he ends up in my locker room, wherever that is. And then he goes on and lists Kansas City, the Raiders, the Colts, and says, I just hope he doesn't sign back with the Seahawks so I don't have to play him twice a year if I'm on the Niners. So it's really, I mean, most Niner fans are like, dang, it's a done deal. He's coming back to the Niners. I'm skeptical, and I'm like, well, he left the door open here when he said whichever locker room, and here when he said if I'm with the Niners. But still, it's like he went pretty far. So what do you make of what he said on the record?
I think right now everything is just to drive up value, right? So I'm not saying Trent Williams, what he said is not true, or that's those negotiations aren't being discussed behind closed doors, because we really don't know. But at the end of the day, again, if you're Trent Williams, aren't you trying to get the most bang for your buck? Yeah. And if you can do that playing for a Super Bowl contender, like I said earlier, in the Indianapolis Colts have $43 million in cap health and obviously have a blindside left need with Anthony Costanzo retiring, it makes logical sense. GM Chris Ballard is not afraid to pull the trigger. He can drive up Trent Williams' stock simply by prying him from San Francisco, by re-signing Darius Leonard, who's also a middle linebacker, just like Fred Warner was. And that 2018 draft class, re-sign him, forces the 49ers' hands to then up the ante with Fred Warner, because obviously he's the better player. That's not going to leave enough money for them to re-sign Trent Williams. So at the end of the day, I think it's somewhat smoke. However, I'm not saying that Trent Williams is lying in any case or any scenario.
I don't think he's lying.
I think there's some truth there, but at the end of the day, again, why? Like you said, you just made a great point. Why would he leave the door open if his intentions were coming back to San Francisco? I don't know.
If he was so certain he was coming back to the Niners, why hasn't he signed the extension yet? What's he waiting for? Here's how I interpret it, and this is just from my experience in the industry. I think he probably has an offer from the 49ers on the table that he likes. It's a good offer, hell of an offer. But he hasn't signed it yet.
Mm-hmm.
You know, hell of an offer. I think he'd be great. I think he'd be cool with taking it.
Yeah.
It's like the safety school. It's like, oh, snap, I just got into Davis. I love Davis. Davis is a hell of a school. I grew up, and but I'm going to wait and see and hear what UCLA has to say.
Right.
I'm going to wait and hear. It's like he's going to hit free agency and have the Niners offer in his back pocket. It's a good one. He's ready to take it for a lot of reasons. They were good to him. But what if the Colts come in over the top, or the Raiders, or any team? And he's like, well, I mean, I like the Niners, but I didn't expect this team to come up with this offer, and I'm flattered, and they're good too. And I mean, if the Niners like me, like they say they do, then they'll at least match that, right? And I don't know if they will, because the Niners have other options like Rashawn Slater or whatever. So, I mean, it seems to me he's saying like, yeah, I like the Niners offer. It's a good offer, but I'm still waiting and seeing. And I feel like if that's the case, he's going to get what he wants somewhere else.
And here's an important thing that we have to take into account. GM John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan, they throw a lot of smoke and fans feed into the smoke. They do. Anything that comes out of their mouths, they think it's gold. It's true. It's not. You and me both know that. Mm-hmm. When Trent Williams was traded to the San Francisco 49ers, the question was then asked, hey, are you going to resign him long term? John Lynch literally said, we're going to let it play out as it should.
That's right. That's
when you say that leaves the door open, like you just said.
Yes.
And why is he resigned?
Yes.
ESPN always reported that they tried to resign him during the year.
Right. And they couldn't. And what's going to happen is he's going to get a nice offer from either like the Chiefs, like a Super Bowl contender, or a team in a tax-free state like the Raiders. And the Niners, just to match the offer, are going to have to come over the top like 10, 13% just to make up the difference in what he would have to pay in state taxes in California.
Right.
So once he gets to the free agent market, hey, look, if they could sign him today, if they could wrap this up before free agency started, then great. But that's not what Trent Williams wants. He's made it clear that he's going to enter free agency and see what happens. And I just think that's bad news for the 49ers, no matter what he says. To me, this is just saying, yeah, Niners, I like your offer, but you're probably going to have to up it a little bit. And it's almost like he's putting pressure on the Niners to do it. Like, hey, Niner fans, I want to come back. Hey, Niner fans, I'm probably coming back. So if I don't, who are you going to get mad at? Lynch, Jed, Kyle? I don't know. It seems like a veteran tactic. Like, veterans are nervous right now because the cap's going down and they're going to get squeezed because they're always getting replaced by the young guys who are younger, cheaper, fresher legs. And so what do? You go on you flex your media contacts that you've built up through 10 years in the industry and talk yourself into more money when the smart teams are going to replace you with younger guys. Sorry.
Right. No, it's true. Very true.
You really want to spend $25 million a year on Trent Williams, who's 33, or just draft Rashawn Slater, who's 22?
He's young.
I'm just saying, really good. Yeah. Okay, let's move on. In addition to Trent Williams hitting free agency, we got Jason Verrett testing free agency. This is really, I think, the more interesting topic because to me, I think the Niners should let Trent Williams go. Don't pay a 33-year-old left tackle like he's a 27-year-old quarterback. But Jason Verrett's not going to be as expensive. He's just as good as Trent Williams when healthy. Hell of a player.
Right.
But he's got his whole history. What do you think is going to happen here with Jason Verrett?
I think he's going to ultimately leave San Francisco, get more money. I think he's going to command at least anywhere from $8 to $12 million, depending on what a team is willing to overpay for that boundary cornerback. Because what you get with Jason Verrett is exactly what you pointed out, Grant. When he's healthy, he's one of the best cornerbacks in the NFL, hands down.
Yes.
And the thing with him was his injuries, right? His red flag injury history, his Achilles, his torn ACL, had a bum ankle. So he has all these different injuries, but at the end of the day, it's like, what you're getting with Jason Verrett when he's healthy.
Plus he played really well last year and was healthy for the most part.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. So I think, in my honest opinion, the Niners should re-sign him as opposed to Trent Williams. So if they let Trent Williams walk, there's no excuse for them not to re-sign Jason Verrett. There's enough money to go around for that. But yeah, we're just going to see how that one plays out. What are your thoughts there?
If they don't re-sign Jason Verrett, I'll understand because there's a lot of risk there and he's not young. But if they have to replace him with someone who's a stud, because again, when he was healthy and he was healthy for most of last season, he's locked down. He's top 10 at maybe even top 7. I mean, he's really, really good. And he basically shut down DeAndre Hopkins, which is something the Niners need. You got to face him twice a year. If you let Jason Verrett go, who's the next guy who's going to shut down DeAndre Hopkins? No one else in free agency that they can sign who'd be cheaper than Jason Verrett. Now you got to spend a first-round pick on a cornerback somehow. That's another. So, I mean, it seems to me that Jason Verrett, even with the risk, should be a priority for the Niners. They just have to protect themselves. Could they give him some type of contract that pays him conditionally based on playing time? I think that's what any team would offer him.
Right. No, you're absolutely correct. And again, you make great points because at the end of the day, you're going to be spinning your rules if you let Jason Verrett go in free agency because now you have another need that you have to fill. And sitting there at 12, what are you going to do? You're going to select Caleb Farley, J.C. Horn, and then what's going to happen with the offensive line? You're going to neglect that again and not get a guy
quarterback. It's like how many things do you have to take at 12? Yeah. So you don't want to re-sign Jason Verrett, but we have a little scheme for how you can get a comparable corner. But to replace him, you're trying to get a top 5, top 7 corner who can shut down all-pro DeAndre Hopkins.
Right.
Who's that? Even anyone in the draft, like you've never seen J.C. Horn cover DeAndre Hopkins. You don't know how that's going to go. That could be bad news for J.C. Horn. We just don't know. But we do know how Jason Verrett can do. We saw that months ago.
Right.
So if they could give him the type of contract that's doesn't have a lot of guaranteed money and a lot of incentives and conditions based on playing time, earn it. Yeah. And if you're hurt, then the Niners aren't, out of luck. That's the
hopefully they don't do the same thing as D Ford. Give him an injury clause in there.
Don't do that. Do you think that Jason Verrett will get more or less than what Jimmy Ward got from the Niners last year? That was 3 years, $28.5 million.
Ooh, more. I think he'll get more. I think he'll get more. Yeah, because he's a corner.
Uh-oh, he may be leaving. Interesting. All right, let's keep going. So let's say the Niners, he prices himself out. Well, the Niners can theoretically trade Jimmy Garoppolo straight up for Stephon Gilmore, who is, frankly, better than Jason Verrett. Just better. I mean, he's durable. He's been good for a very long time. Maybe Jason Verrett is comparable when healthy, but this guy is bigger, more durable, better.
Yeah.
But he's also 30, and he's going to be 31 next year, I think, and he'll be a free agent the year after that. So you're basically trading Jimmy for a 1-year rental. Still, this solves the cornerback problem. Right. If you lose Jason Verrett, and he can definitely cover DeAndre Hopkins, probably DK Metcalf as well. Do you think this is the way to go?
No, I would rather keep Jason Verrett. Maybe because I'm a homer. I don't know. I guess I'm not a homer, but I'm a homer, and like I root for Jason Verrett. We all know what he can do. He's a great locker room guy. Trading
Fairfield, baby.
Huh? Yeah.
Fairfield, baby.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about.
He's a Bay Area guy. That's right.
So when you trade a guy, trade Jimmy Garoppolo for Stephon Gilmore, who's playing in the last year of his contract, who's on a 5-year, $65 million contract, and you don't know if you're going to return, if he's going to return the following year. So now you're mortgaging your future for a half-year or 1-year rental player, like you did with Trent Williams, and the year before that you did with Emmanuel Sanders, who's now a free agent. But
we're going to talk about him in a minute. I'm writing that down right now.
Yeah, what are you doing, bro? Like, come on, man. Like, really, let's think logically about it. Unless it's a sign and trade, and even then, so I would rather keep Jason Verrett over Stephon Gilmore because, again, you make great points. We know what we're getting with Jason Verrett. We don't know what we're getting with Stephon Gilmore.
Yeah, plus, theoretically, you could get Jason Verrett on like a 3-year deal where you're protected, not that much guaranteed money, conditions, incentives, yada, yada, yada. You're trading for Gilmore, and you're losing him theoretically after a year. Let's stick with this though. So I'm not really into the Gilmore trade. Like I would rather get a pick for Jimmy Garoppolo. You want a pick, and the question I feel like what New England, the reports on New England are the number 46 is on the table. Their 2nd-round pick is on the table.
Correct.
That's cool, but let's play this out, man. Hold on. From what I heard, the Patriots offered a first last year. They still really, really like him, even though the rest of the league's cooled off on him a little bit. And I think they're desperate. Like, haven't you heard scenarios where people are like, hey, there's going to be 5 quarterbacks that go in the top 10?
Right.
People keep saying that, right?
Right. Absolutely.
It could go Lawrence 1, Wilson 2, Fields 3, Lance 4, Jones 8. And then, okay, so now 5 guys are off the board. And then now we're hearing Chris Sims say, hey, don't be surprised. Don't be shocked. It wouldn't be crazy if the Niners took Kellen Mond at 12. So that's 6 quarterbacks who could go top 12. Well, let's say the Patriots don't get Jimmy Garoppolo. Then what is your option then? Who are you going to draft? You're going to draft the 7th quarterback at 15? Or are you going to trade up for Kyle Trask? What is their option? I think the Niners could put them in a really bad spot. And so what I'm trying to say is the Niners should be pushing for a first. Maybe they won't get the first this year. Maybe they get the first next year. But don't just settle for that 2nd-round pick. The Patriots seem super desperate.
Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, they are desperate. I mean, the Cam Newton experiment failed, and I think that was a one-and-done trial experiment. It didn't work out ultimately. If Bill Belichick can't revive Cam Newton's career, I hate to say it, but I don't think any coach can. That's not a knock on Cam Newton. I'm just saying it, calling it how I see it. But if there's one coach that can actually revive Cam Newton's career, it would have been Bill Belichick, and that's why they signed him and gave him that 1-year chance to do that. However, it's not looking good for him. Yeah, they're desperate. And so you hit it on the nail. If what you're saying is true, and I think you wouldn't be lying. So if the 1st-round pick was in play last year.
It was a rumor around. That's what I heard. Yes.
Yeah, but some rumors are there for a reason, right? I mean, no one people think we just say stuff or report stuff. No, we hear stuff. That's what we're hearing, right? Okay. So it's kind of like, so when you say 1st-round pick, why not? You make a great point. I say go after it, because if anything, even if it was a 1st-round pick this year, now you're getting 12 and 15, and now you have the ability to move however you want to do it.
Hey, you like Jimmy Garoppolo? Give us 15. We want 15 because honestly, look, the way I look at them is they either want Jimmy or Josh McDaniel's been very into like quarterbacks who can move. Right. They signed Cam Newton. He drafted Tim Tebow in Denver. He's into that. Yeah. And I think they might like Kellen Mond too, because they have a short passing game. Kellen Mond's real precise on the stuff over the middle, and he can move. If you take him off the board and he's not available for the Patriots, then what is your play? Who do you really want at 15 more than Jimmy Garoppolo. Give us 15 right now. I think they should. Maybe that's why the Niners haven't done it yet. Like, don't just settle for the second round pick. They are desperate and they have no plan B. There's no quarterback unless they really like Kyle Trask and want to start him day one.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if they want to do that.
Right. I mean, you make great points, man. So, yeah, we'll just have to see how that one plays out. Because again, Jimmy Garoppolo trade rumors are not dying down, bro. They're just not dying down.
Yeah. Martin Donaldson says trade Jimmy in first next year for Pat's first and still and Stephon Gilmore. That's interesting. Yeah. Try to get that first round pick. Get 12 and 5. You know? Anyway, let's move on. Thank you, Martin. Should the Niners trade up or trade down from pick 12, in your opinion?
Obviously, it's a question that we have to ask ourselves is what the actual draft position as the draft takes place. Like you said earlier, I'm going to echo on that analysis. These quarterbacks are going to be pushed up the board. So that means that when you look at the vertical board, a lot of these top tier players are going to be dropping and falling. So based on their needs and what they need and the best player available at that position of need, if a Patrick Surtain somehow falls to the Niners, I say take Patrick Surtain. But if you're looking for an offensive lineman, I would say trade down, and that includes Rashawn Slater. I would still say trade down from 12. If you're looking at for an edge rusher, definitely trade down from 12. If you're looking at quarterback, if all the quarterbacks are off the board, definitely trade down. So ultimately, I would say trade down, stockpile more picks, trade back into maybe the late teens, and pick up a player at a position in need that's still high in your draft board based on the horizontal board when you look at it. So that's my take.
Yeah. I don't think the Niners should be trading multiple assets for one. Unless it's Deshaun Watson. Unless it's Watson. Mm-hmm. And then even then, I wouldn't give up more than 3. I would give up the best 3 assets than like 7 good assets because the Niners have a really weird spot right now. Like they have 25 free agents. They're kind of reloading their roster. I think they need they need more draft picks. And they have a lot in like day 3 this year, but they don't have that many. They have 2 in the top 100. Mm-hmm. So then to move up from 12, you'd be packaging 12 and 43 to move up. And now you're done. That's it. That's moving the top 100.
Yeah.
The rest of those picks, I mean, 1 in 4 of them could work out. So you don't know.
Right.
I would be more into trading. That's why I like trade Nick Bosa for the 2 and trade down. Turn big assets into multiple assets. So if you're not going to do that, trade 12 and turn that into more picks. And then now you can get a quarterback and a corner at the end of round 1, something like that. I'd be much more into trading down.
Yeah, exactly.
Unless there's someone that just drops to 12 that you love, like offensive lineman or a quarterback, something like that. I don't know if there's any corner at 12 that I love. Like the more I watch Surtain, he's really athletic and quick, but he's not super big and he's not super physical. Like he plays smaller than Verrett, in my opinion. And while I think he'd match up well with like Lockett. I don't think is a really good matchup against DK Metcalf or Hopkins.
Yeah, definitely not one-on-one. But when you talk about the cover 3 scheme, when you keep everything in front of you, being a sound technician at the line, winning early in the down,
he's very good.
That you look for.
He's very good. Yeah, he's very good. He's very good. I'm just talking matchups here. But yeah.
He'll get blown away, Grant.
Yeah, I'm talking matchups here. And I think the Niners need to keep that in mind when they're drafting a corner. Like if you do bring back Jason Verrett, then you're definitely looking for a guy who's bigger who can match up with DK.
Right. Good point. Good point.
Okay. So we both agree they should trade down.
Yes.
Unless there's someone that you just love at 12, don't trade up. They should not trade up.
No.
Do not package picks to move up. If you're trading up, you're trading someone of your own. Jimmy Garoppolo, Nick Bosa. Okay. Rashawn Slater. I just watched his coach's film for the first time yesterday. He looks really good. Very, very good. He handled Chase Young. I watched it 2018, 2019. Handled him. Not super big, but 6'4", 33-inch arms, kind of Joe Staley-ish. I don't know if he's going to fall to 12 because he looks pretty. I mean, the only thing you can knock him on, I think, is that he didn't play last year. Neither did Penei Sewell. So do you think this is a Niners draft target?
Yeah, I think he's high on their board. It was reported that they spoke with him at his pro day, had interaction there. Obviously, the pre-draft visits, or you can't really do that, but you can do virtual meetings and stuff like that. So, I think Rashawn Slater is higher on their board. I think when they look at what their positional needs are, and obviously based on the horizontal board, when you look at the offensive lineman, this isn't the strongest class. So if you can take a guy that's maybe the second rated offensive lineman in this draft class at number 12, and with a need there, because there's so many needs across the board on the 49ers offensive line, you have to solidify down in the trenches. You haven't been able to do it. Whoever that quarterback is, you're going to have to give him instant relief, and Rashawn Slater could be that guy.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it seems like it's a really good plan B if Trent Williams leaves, because I'm sure the Niners want Trent Williams, have made him a very, very generous offer. But there's at a certain point, there has to be like a cutoff where we're not going to give any more, right? And it seems like, especially if Slater's going to be available, because they're very similar, especially in their like pro day combine numbers. I mean, they're both about 6'4". They both run 4.8s. Trent Williams has longer arms. Okay. I think this Slater guy's a hell of an option. Only issue is, you know, maybe the Niners have the 12th pick earmarked for a quarterback, in which case just can't take him.
Yeah, it's crazy though, because Grant, remember back in 2018, Mike Mcglinchey was drafted 9. So if you look at the draft position, how they value the positional need based on where they're picking at, obviously it is from one draft to the next, but don't be surprised if Rashawn Slater comes to San Francisco. I don't know. That could be a pick.
Last Second Sports says kick him to right guard after 2 years, moving to right tackle, let Mcglinchey walk. He looks like a left tackle right now. If you draft Rashawn Slater, you can let Trent Williams walk and play Rashawn Slater at left tackle right now. That's the way I saw him. I mean,
he has quick feet.
Quick feet, very strong. And he doesn't have super long arms, but he uses them well. Like he punches, he keeps his hands in tight and up high, as opposed to Mike Mcglinchey, who keeps him by his knees. I don't understand who's teaching that. Max says, give Jets K'Wan Williams, DJ Jones, and our number. Those guys are free agents, though. I like what you're thinking, but you can't trade the free agents. Max, sorry, buddy. You can't. Those guys are just going to sign with the Jets just because. All right, let's move on. So Rashawn Slater, basically, I think we agree he's the best non-quarterback the Niners can get at 12, most likely, unless someone we don't expect can move down.
Yeah, I mean, if I still like Patrick Surtain. I think if Patrick Surtain is sitting there at 12, no.
But do you think Slater will be there?
Yes. Okay. I do.
Okay.
I know that's crazy. I know. You know why? Because I think these quarterbacks are going to be pushed up the board, like Chris said, and like how you said. So I think
there's going to go like 5 going top 8, and so he could be there. It's yeah. Okay, so something to think about.
Yeah.
Let's switch gears a little bit. Does Kyle Shanahan favor offensive players? Like, look, he says he loves drafting defensive linemen in round 1, and that's true. But beyond that, does he favor offensive players?
Absolutely.
How?
Well, when you look at how he mortgages his future by trading for half-year rental players in Emmanuel Sanders, left tackle Trent Williams, and then you double down on that, on what he does in free agency and who he resigns as his homegrown talent, like George Kittle. We still don't know what's going on with Fred Warner. You kind of can put the pieces together, right? And you take it a step further. He is an offensive guy at the end of the day. I mean, you cannot honestly tell me that he does not favor offense, right?
Yeah.
Come on. I
mean, every year in the second round, it's a wide receiver. It's like they don't have a need, and he keeps doing it with his favorite position.
Yeah, exactly. So it's interesting to see how all these other players are rumored in trade discussions, but when you talk about the core foundational players, it's always the defensive players. I mean, obviously, you're not going to get rid of George Kittle. I think he's untouchable. I think Fred Warner's untouchable. I think Bosa is untouchable, although I think we would, some of us would disagree on that, but which is fine. But it's funny how those players are mentioned and not George Kittle. I mean, Fred Warner is the best at his position. So why is George Kittle not in discussion if you get George Kittle? I mean, I'm just saying, obviously, I'm not saying it's going to happen, and George Kittle's an all-pro. He's the best. He's untouchable. If there's one untouchable player, it's George Kittle. But it's interesting to point out that, when we talk about the mortgaging the future with these half-year, 1-year rental players on the offense side of the football, and they do absolutely nothing on the defense side of the football, and maybe mortgaging these guys as players, it's just interesting to point out. I don't know. I
mean, look at all the wide receivers they've drafted. Look at all the running backs they've invested in.
Right.
And they have no corners under contract. They're like, whatever, like corner. I mean, you can get corners. I'll find some corners. Like, God forbid they ran out of wide receivers. It would be, I don't know. I think it's pretty funny. Like, oh, snap. We don't have any corners. I guess we should get some of those this year. Oh, that's an important position, I guess.
Yeah, we need that. We need
Yeah, we
cornerback.
need that. Huh? Oh my God. Just dawned on me. Maitland Eagle says correct hand placement and understanding leverage are more important than arm length. I agree. And I think Rashawn Slater has both of those.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Next one. One pass rusher the Niners should sign. The Niners have about $24 million in cap space. There's a lot of pass rushers on the market, and they need one because D Ford, I don't know if he's ever going to play again.
Yeah, it's interesting. If Von Miller gets released, how would Von Miller look next to Nick Bosa, bro?
That'd be crazy.
I think Von Miller is going to get released. That's my bold prediction. Von Miller is not going to restructure. They're going to ask him to take a pay cut. It's going to be too much. I think Von Miller is going to get released by the Broncos. He'll be on the open market. John Lynch is going to, coming from, having Denver Bronco ties, obviously, he's going to be like, oh, okay, let's get Von Miller, man.
That's going to be expensive, though.
It would be expensive, but if he can maybe put in some escalators in his contract, like performance escalators, like you pointed out with some of, like maybe Jason Verrett, if he was willing to do that and say, hey, look, we're fielding a Super Bowl contending team. What do you think about this?
Only way they could afford that, I think, is if they let Trent Williams walk, replace him with Rashawn Slater, and trade Jimmy Garoppolo. If they get rid of Jimmy and Trent, which I tweeted last night, if they do that, it creates a ton of options. Well, here's one of them, folks. Von Miller. He's coming off a big injury, but still, he's Von Miller, and he's better than D Ford. Similar, better.
Yeah. Von Miller would be a beast, bro. It'd be like bringing like Kevin Green when he was there for that 1 year. I think it was 97 or whatever.
That's interesting. All right, turn me down a little bit. I get a little echo from you.
All right, I got you.
Yeah. So Von Miller, I wasn't expecting him. I'm thinking the baseline is Kerry Hyder because you saw him last year in this system with Chris Kosarick. It works. He had 8 sacks. Plays very hard. He won't be super expensive because he already got his payday once and flopped. He had to go back to Kosarick. I think anyone should be measured against him, but there's other options, other cheap options too if they can't get Von Miller.
Right.
Alden Smith.
Right. He'd be good.
You wouldn't have to it's not like, oh, does he fit your defense? You're not signing him to play in the base defense. Forget that. He's just an edge rusher in a nickel defense, and he could be pretty good. Plus, he'd be a good story. He's not that old. He used to be with the Niners. Alden Smith.
He can come back.
Yeah, he might even be cheaper than Kerry Hyder.
And Colin Kaepernick's not there. We all know what happened with the beef there. I'm just saying.
People forget. We've
been talking about that. Bro, we've been talking about that since day one. And, you know me, I had the inside scoop on that one. That was all real.
That's the truth. You already know. All right, let's move on. So you say Von, I say Alden. Those are and Kerry Hyder's in the middle. If they could get one of those three, that makes sense. Von is something they would have to clear some space, but I think they should get rid of Trent, get rid of Darnold. Excuse me. What difference is it? Garoppolo and get Von Miller. What difference is it? Honestly. All right. Okay, let's talk about the news of the day. Saints cut Emmanuel Sanders. The Niners would have signed him last year, but he just got too much money because he coming off a Super Bowl appearance, and Saints needed to upgrade. Well, they don't have cap space. No one has cap space. Sanders is a luxury at whatever age he is, 33 or whatever. Maybe he'd be willing to sign with the team he played for last year at the Niners price, what they had offered originally. If so, you think the Niners will sign him?
John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan went on record saying it was one of the hardest decisions they had to make to let him walk, right? Because he brought so much swagger and so much leadership to the position. Obviously, you saw the drop off in production this year with all the injuries, but with no actual leader there. I mean, you have Brandon Ayuk, who's a rookie. Deebo Samuel was banged up, so his leadership was instrumental just off the field. So I can see the team bringing him back. I think he would welcome a second stint with the 49ers because he, his production was through the roof. I mean, when he was on it, he was the best wide receiver on the team, I would question, right? Because he'd find soft spots in zone coverage, opened up a lot of things for Deebo Samuel. So yes, just in short, your answer, yes, he can come back.
I also felt like for whatever reason, it clicked with him and Jimmy Garoppolo. That connection worked right away. And if you go back and look at Jimmy Garoppolo's 2019 season, everyone thinks of it as being like a baller season. He really played well. Well, first 5-6 games of the year, his TD to INT ratio was kind of like 1-to-1. He was a little shaky. And then they traded for Emmanuel Sanders, and his numbers really went off the charts after that. I think
Right.
there was a clear split there, like, split stats before pre-Emmanuel Sanders with Emmanuel Sanders. So just for Jimmy's sake, if there's like a 50% chance he could be the starting quarterback next season and they haven't, they don't get Deshaun Watson or whatever they want to do, well, Emmanuel Sanders would help Jimmy, and he's probably finally going to be cheap.
Right.
Plus, you don't know about Deebo Samuel. That guy gets hurt all the time. And Brandon Ayuk, you liked him. Well, you like Dante Pettis after his rookie year too. How many wide receivers have had sophomore slumps? It couldn't hurt to have a little insurance policy who's a veteran. And I mean, he's very brash, and he may set the wrong tone or whatever example that you want for young kids. But he's also like a leader who's a champion, and there's no one else on the offense who wants to talk and hold people accountable. Not Trent Williams. So you could use him.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Absolutely. Emmanuel Sanders, I wouldn't be surprised if that happens. It feels like one of the few places I'd be interested, and he could come back and pick up where he left off.
Yeah.
Mike Mcglinchey. May 3rd is the Niners' deadline to decide whether they're going to give him the fifth-year option, pick up his fifth-year option. That would be for 2022. So he's definitely, he's under contract for 2021.
Okay.
Anyway, my question is, do you think they'll pick it up? It'll be $10.4 to $10.9 million they'd be paying him in 2022. Do you think they'll pick that up?
$10.9 million for right tackle Mike Mcglinchey. Well, in short, I would say yes. And here's why, Grant. Because they don't want us talking about it knowing that your 2017 and 2018 first-round draft picks, we opted not to pick up their fifth-year option.
Yeah.
They're just admitting fault. So I think by default, they're going to pick it up.
Yeah. Okay. But it's okay. Let me try to provide a counter point here.
Mm-hmm.
They have until May 3rd. May 3rd is after the draft, after the draft.
Right.
Okay. So the Niners, it's possible that they know Mike McGlinchey's a bum and that they got to get rid of him, and that they're saying this stuff to create a market or preserve his value or whatever. And they intend to include him in whatever Jimmy Garoppolo trade they make. Or whatever, they intend to trade him draft day to someone who needs a tackle and likes him, and that'll be their problem. That's the only thing I think that they're going to do that. Barring that, I think they'll pick it up.
Yeah, I think they're going to pick it up, but that's a good point. They could trade him as part of a blockbuster deal because then you can get a package deal where we got an offensive lineman, like a right tackle, so we have to go and outside of free agency overpay for someone or look into the draft next year. We already got our right tackle. Good point.
Also, the Patriots have the best offensive line coach in the league, or one of the most respected. Dante Scarnecchia. Is that his name?
Yeah.
Maybe they feel, hey,
last name. Is that how you pronounce it?
I don't know, but that's the guy.
Tried. Yeah.
But they could, maybe I feel, hey, bring Mike McGlinchey over here. Give him a real offensive line coach. Maybe we can salvage something. Plus, we're going to get him for cheap. And if he leaves, we can get a comp pick, something like what they did with Trent Williams.
Yeah.
So maybe the Niners actually weasel out of the Mike McGlinchey commitment and trade him, because all the stuff they say it's like, it doesn't make any sense. Stop praising him. It doesn't. But hey, if they want to trade him, they can't trash him. So I'm Sean Shepard says Kyle tries to make Ferraris out of Honda Civics at quarterback. Get a quarterback now before big drop off. Contracts come, Debo, etc. All teams will purge rosters after draft to fit under cap. Cap has fresh legs. LOL. Look, real quick, Sean, appreciate the donation. Very generous. We're going to get to this later, but this one thing you say, get a quarterback now before the big drop off. Something to think about, and Ryan are going to talk about this at the end, but is it possible that this is what a lot of teams are going to do? Get a quarterback now, like the Rams. And then all of a sudden, June 1 rolls around. I don't know, 27 of 32 teams have decided what their quarterback's going to be. And then finally, Houston's like, okay, we're going to trade Deshaun Watson.
Right.
Who wants him? And the Niners are the only team that hasn't committed yet. And now all of a sudden they're in a good spot. Something to think about. Ryan and I are going to talk about that later. Okay. Will the 49ers re-sign Nick Mullens? Matt Mayoko reported that they're probably not going to offer him a tender because he is recovering from elbow injury. I don't know if he had surgery, and it's going to take him 6 months. So he's not even healthy right now. And I guess the risk they're taking or what they're banking on is no one's going to sign him when he's hurt. He'll be around later. We can always bring him into camp. He'll always be there for us. just not now. Not for $3 million. Is that how you look at it, or do you think he's done with the 49ers?
Gosh, I hate to say it. I like Nick Mullens, man. I thought he did really good things. People can ride on him. Oh, he makes bad decisions. But yeah, I mean, what do you expect, man? He's still learning the NFL game. He's still young. Yeah. So, of course, as fans or even as us in the media, we can ride that and take that wave and take that stance because it's easy for us to criticize. But like when you're actually in position, especially the quarterback position, I would have Nick Mullens back. I mean, look at the stats that he put up in, what is it, his first 10 games or first 10 starts. He was on a record pace, right?
Yes.
If I'm not mistaken.
Only people who threw for more yards out of that in like the first 16 games of their career are Andrew Luck and Patrick Mahomes.
So there you go. So,
yeah. And
so how many people can say that?
Exactly. Those three. And this guy was constantly playing with backups like Jerick McKinnon and Richie James Jr. and River Craycraft. I think there's a possibility that another team straight up signs him, like the Jets. He's better. Nick Mullens is better right now than Sam Darnold. If he were on that team and they could actually like have a competition, good luck, Sam. You're going against a guy who's very, very serious and a true pro. Not as gifted as you, but he's got better numbers than you. So he'd be a nice backup for Darnold. He'd be a nice backup for Baker Mayfield. He'd be a really good backup for a lot of teams that run play action out of under center stuff. I mean, he'd be a good backup for the Panthers. I think there are teams that might like him and might sign him. But Absolutely. If they don't, I think the Niners would like him still, just at a lower price, and I think they'll try to get him into training camp if he's still available later on the offseason.
Yeah, I think that's the play, man. Like I said, I like Nick Mullens a lot.
Yeah, me too. I understand them not tendering him a contract. I think they don't have to, and if someone wants to pay him X amount of dollars, great. Good luck, Nick. But at their price down the line, I think they would take him. I just think there's a possibility that Nick Mullens could get a deal somewhere else.
Oh, he probably
apparently
will.
Someone liked him last year enough to offer the Niners something that they turned him down. Yeah. Can Slater play right tackle? Hell yeah, he can play left tackle, in my opinion. Okay. Will the 49ers trade for Sam Darnold? It seems like there's a thought process going out there like, well, rather than take a guy like Kellen Mond at 12 or Kyle Trask in the late first round, just trade a second for Sam Darnold, who was a third pick in the draft and isn't even 24 yet. What do you think of that?
I made a bold prediction yesterday, and someone asked me, "Is like, who's going to be the starting quarterback in 2021 if it's not Jimmy Garoppolo?" And I said, ultimately, it's going to be Sam Darnold. And the reason I say that is simply because of the draft capital that they would yield, right, for trading off Jimmy Garoppolo for Sam Darnold. They would get draft capital in return, obviously, but they also hold 2 first-round picks. The Saleh, Lynch, Shanahan dynamic is still there. Joe Douglas is a mover. John Lynch is a player. So you guys can see how those two can actually work out a deal. Now, obviously, it comes into play exactly what the draft capital is going to be. But ultimately, I can honestly see Sam Darnold being shipped to the San Francisco 49ers for maybe a day 2 pick, like a second-round pick. And then you roll over Jimmy Garoppolo, trade him off to the New England Patriots, and get another day 2 pick, right? And then you can start there, but you don't like it. I know you're not.
I think you're right. It could happen, man. It's bleak. I hope it doesn't for the Niners' sake, because it seems to me that it's the same thing that they did with Jimmy Garoppolo. I mean, you're trading for a guy right before the end of his 4-year rookie deal.
Good point.
And he's going to be expensive the next year, and you're going to have to make a decision on what to do there based off of a season's worth of starts on your team or less.
Good point.
And then you already know that his issues are the same issues Jimmy has: turnovers, injuries. He's never made it through a full season. He turns the ball over more than Jimmy Garoppolo does. So, yeah, is he a little bit more athletic? Can he extend plays? Yeah, but what happens when he extends plays? He turns the ball over.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I mean, if they do it, I guess I'll see where they're coming from. I just think it's a mistake because draft a guy. Draft a quarterback. Like, stop. Like this guy, he's not your product. He's not your project. You'll bring him in and you'll be like, oh, he's not as smart as I hoped. His decision-making isn't good. Like, yeah, I know. Like, ask Adam Gase. I don't know, man. I don't know. Could Slater play right guard and Mcglinchey play right tackle? Yeah, but Slater's a better right tackle than Mike Mcglinchey. So why would you do that?
Yeah.
Right?
I think so. I also think Rashawn Slater can kick into guard. So again,
yeah, he could.
You can do number of different things with Rashawn.
But to me, it's like the Niners had their best right tackle last year playing center.
Mm-hmm.
I still think Daniel Brunskill's a better right tackle than Mcglinchey. Mcglinchey's a better run blocker, but Brunskill's a better pass protector.
Hey.
And he does. So, you could have your best. You could have Brunskill at center, Slater at right guard, and Mcglinchey at right tackle because he can't play anything else. But you have two guys who are better than Mcglinchey not playing right tackle.
Right.
I'm just saying. Let Trent Williams walk, sign Kyle Long, trade Jimmy to New England, and sign Alex Smith as bridge and draft Surtain with 12 and trade back into the first round for Vermont. It's a whole lot of stuff, but I like the names you mentioned.
It's a whole lot.
It's a whole lot of stuff, but I like Trent Williams walk, good. Kyle Long, I'm indifferent. Trade Jimmy back to New England, love it. Sign Alex Smith, absolutely. Draft Surtain, why not? And trade back into the first for Mond. Yeah, I think the only thing I'd probably rather do is if Surtain's on the board and Slater's on the board, what do you do?
I take Patrick Surtain. I still take Patrick Surtain over Rashawn Slater just because on the vertical board, he's a higher rated player. Boundary cornerbacks get paid just like the offensive tackles. For the scheme, especially with D'Amico Ryans being the new defensive coordinator, he's going to need all the help and all the talent he can get on the field because, we're all going to be watching him, comparing his success to Saleh. So I would roll with defense, man. I go boundary cornerback.
Okay, fair enough. I think I would go Slater, but I got to watch more. Trubisky is the Niners' next franchise quarterback. Don't fall for the narrative. Check his resume. Opinion. No, this is. Let me sit with this for a second. Not just because he paid me $10 too, but I appreciate you, Steve. When we're talking about Darnold, we were just comparing him to Jimmy. Like, who cares? Jimmy's history, most likely. Mm-hmm. What I want to compare Darnold to is a guy like Josh Rosen. Is he really that much better than Josh Rosen? Or is he really that much better than Mitchell Trubisky? No!
I think he is. I think he's better than Mitchell Trubisky. I think Sam Darnold can be, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't know. I know you probably would disagree. I think he can be a Pro Bowl player. I really, truly believe that. And you're probably looking at me like, what the heck am I saying?
No, I get it. I'm not writing him off because he has talent and he's been in a bad situation, a really bad situation.
I mean, he has no offensive line. He had no skill player positions. The only guy he had was Robbie Anderson for a couple years, and then he had Jamison Crowder. Those guys, I mean, who are they, right? Really? And then they had no tight ends. They had no running back help. So if you put Jimmy Garoppolo or even Deshaun Watson behind center there, how much success can you really have?
But how much better is he really than Trubisky? I mean, Trubisky didn't have I don't think so, man. Trubisky's more athletic. He's faster. His arm is just as strong. He's had also a bad supporting cast on offense. He had a good defense. But, I mean, his offense was terrible. It was just as bad. He had Allen Robinson. That's true. Beast. But, I mean, he had no run game, no tight end, no number 2 wide receiver, no number 3 wide receiver, the worst play caller in the league. I'm just saying, like, instead of trading a 2 for Darnold, you could just sign Trubisky. You already have Rosen. I don't see such a better player that it merits a second-round pick. I mean, I'm inviting you on my show, and I'm really asking. I'm just getting excited because I had a couple of cups of coffee this morning. But I just kidding. I get worked up about Sam Darnold. I hear what you're saying.
No, I know. No,
most people feel this way.
It's good that we're having this discussion though, because I mean, you have a strong opinion on why you don't like Sam Darnold. I have a strong opinion why I do like Sam Darnold. Ultimately, it comes down to the critical factors for me. I just think he wasn't given this.
I agree.
Cast. Yeah, and you made great points, dude, with Mitchell Trubisky and the Chicago Bears. But, I would say they had a little bit more weapons. They had David Montgomery, if I'm not mistaken, the running back. I don't know. I think that's his name.
David Montgomery's pretty good. Yeah, he's pretty good.
I mean, it's few and far between. The common denominator that we have to realize is both offensive lines suck.
No doubt. No, I don't want to write off Darnold because that's not fair. Like, I'm optimistic about Rosen. You should be optimistic about Darnold, too. He's 23 years old. He's played for a bad team with no playmakers. Give him a chance. All I'm saying is I feel like he has the same questions Rosen has, the same questions Trubisky has.
Oh, absolutely.
They all have questions. So instead of bringing in another guy with questions for a second-round pick, just like Trubisky's available, Rosen's already on your team. I'm just saying. But if it happens – I think it could happen, and you already laid it out, but I'm just trying to speak it out of existence because it makes me nervous. Hold on.
We agree to disagree, which is great. Which is great.
Angelic Ambition, great name, says we need to give D'Amico Ryans the same opportunity that Saleh had to let him prosper. We have one corner on the roster right now. We need to draft cornerback.
Yeah.
Well, what they can do is take a quarterback at 12 and then trade Jimmy Garoppolo for something, a first-round pick, a second-round pick, and then package that. And there's, you know what I'm saying? If they trade Jimmy for something in this draft, first round, second round, all of a sudden they got enough picks to get the quarterback, the offensive lineman, and the corner. They need to get another pick. Trade down, trade Jimmy, trade something to get – they need another pick, right? I think they're in a spot where they need quarterback, offensive lineman, and corner, and you'd only have 2 picks in the top 100. Need one more.
Right.
Angelic ambition. That was an angelic question. We got one more topic left. We're really going fast.
This is a 2-minute drill.
It's a 2-minute drill. The fastest 45 minutes in sports. Are the 49ers secretly still waiting for Watson? I've put it out there like they've said all this stuff like Jimmy's coming back. We're cool with Jimmy. We're cool with Jimmy. Maybe they look at it as Jimmy's the backup plan. And we're not going to – it's possible we won't draft a quarterback. It's possible we won't trade for Darnold. We'll just stick with Jimmy and Rosen and maybe Mullens and let everyone else be desperate and reach for these, quarterbacks who wouldn't sniff the first round most years, but everyone wants one because they're cheaper and the cap went down. So you know what? We're just going to chill, let everyone make their moves like the Rams and all these teams. And then boom, when the Texans finally decide they want to make a move with Watson, who else is a suitor? It's just us. And now we'll get him. Is it possible that that's their play here?
Absolutely. There's a reason why Fred Warner is not re-signed yet. I think he can be a depth piece in this blockbuster deal. That's why Shanahan and Lynch are playing this waiting game, and they can say all they want behind closed doors, or even to their agents saying, hey, it's a decreased salary cap. We don't know what that is. Well, now we know what that is. So what's the waiting game, right? Secondly, why haven't you re-signed him? If you knew going into this offseason that was going to be your number one priority, why wait until now to re-sign him? And you can extend it during the year. Now you're fighting for his services after this contract is over at the end of the 2021. I don't know.
Yep. I think that this could be what's going on. I mean, maybe Kyle Shanahan loves Kellen Mond and would take him at 12, but that's a controversial move. I mean, that's as shocking as taking CJ Beathard in the 3rd round. It's shocking. But if you trade for Deshaun Watson, everyone just puts you in Canton right away. I mean, you get nothing but praise. It's a legendary move. I think this could be in the back of their minds, like, hey, let's just have Jimmy as our fallback option. Let everyone think like this is what we're gonna do. Let everyone else, the Patriots, all these guys, like sign people, draft people, take themselves out of the Deshaun Watson sweepstakes, and then boom, it'll be musical chairs and it'll be us against no one. I think it's possible. Yep.
Right. Good point. No, good point.
Yep. Don't take yourself out of the play for that. Jonathan Sterling says, what do you think of trading Jimmy, then move back in draft and take O-line after that, move up in draft and take J.C. Horn, then trade for Watson? That's a lot. I don't know if they can pull it off, but if you trade Jimmy, now you can get the corner. You can trade back into the first round for J.C. Horn, no doubt. Absolutely. Right. Real quick, Sean says, Devil, get off Grant. No more lies about Trubisky, Trask, and Mullens being good. They suck. Sorry, Sean. Jonathan Sterling says, what do you, we already did that one. Hold on, my bad. Hold on. Hold on. You asked it twice? Jonathan, why you do that? I can't answer it twice, but I appreciate the extra money. Thank you. Hold on. Melvin, Justin, we received 2 more picks in the 3rd round, in the first 3 rounds. Wow. Amazing. Well, I have to get back to you on that. I didn't know.
Grant, I can't, bro.
All right, we're out of topics. That was a quick 45 minutes show. We got 830 people watching. I think people like 2 bums in a pod. Someone tell Eric Armstead that he created a monster.
Yes, absolutely.
Someone run tell Eric. All right, Ryan. Well, thanks for giving me your time again. I appreciate it. Very generous of you.
Absolutely, man.
And we'll
pod. That's how we
2
roll.
bums, 1 pod. And I gotta say, next week when we do the show, it's the first day of free agency. So It's gonna be crazy, man. It's gonna be a lot of stuff to talk about.
Fun times, bro. I can't wait.
Fun times, bro. So I'll talk to you then. Thanks everyone for watching.
Peace.